to go around really quick and just get your opinion, kind of a yes or no. Does talking help? And perhaps if you want to comment on if you've used it. So we'll just start on this end. Does talking help?
Yes, I think talking helps. It's a way to vent. So it helps, and it'll also be a way to. Sometimes all you need is talking. You don't need an opinion. You just need to talk, vent, get it out, and step back from the situation.
Does talking help?
Yeah, I think talking helps because sometimes your whole depression is just because you haven't been talking and it hasn't been like expressed yet. You haven't been able to express yourself. So I think talking is a good way to express yourself.
So you didn't have an outlet, in other words. Duncan?
Yeah, it really helps me kind of just be able to, like she said, get to the root of everything and try to figure out what was the actual problem and was the actual problem worth you panicking over. And, like, you don't really have to panic about everything. If you have something come in late for school or something, you're fine. You know, they'll let you catch up sometimes. You know, you have a weekend to get it over with. Just don't let it catch up to you, and just really just understand, you know, from someone else's perspective, if it's a real problem or not.
Wow. Does talking help?
Yes, it does. I totally agree with that. You know, like I said earlier, with the getting to the root of the problem. But I mean, you could not even know that something's wrong until you start talking to people about it, and you hear from their experience. Oh, I didn't even realize that was actually bothering me, and it comes out that way.
Right. Okay, other side.
Yes, talking definitely helps. That's all I do. If something is bothering me, I have to get it out. I have to call my friend, let them know this was bothering me. Just listen, let me vent, and then I'm good.
I think talking does help if you've had the right person, you know, who listens to you and you can tell them your problems. Also, keeping a journal, you know, a diary, you know, writing down your problems and getting them all out. If you don't have someone to talk to, can also help as well.
Talking helps. It all depends on who you're talking to. Because if you have a conversation with somebody that thinking pretty much the same as you thinking, it's not going to really help your conversation or your depression or anything like that. So if you talk to somebody more positive, it'll pretty much help your depression.
I would say yes also, but I'm pretty vocal, so if I'm upset, somebody's going to hear about it.
Gotcha. Okay, so we know who to keep an eye on, right? All right, question 5. Now, let's take it to another level. We're talking about society. We mentioned Facebook a minute ago. What about television? What about pop culture? What about TV icons? What about celebrities, actors, athletes? On and on and on. For me, I saw a positive and a negative there. The negative, obviously, is if I compared myself to these people that are getting all the limelight, then I felt like, oh, I'm worthless. Oh, not true at all. They just didn't have a camera on me at the time, right? But on the other side of it, there was some positive motivation there because it makes me want to achieve. You see other people that worked hard to get where they are in some cases. And it makes me want to do that. What do you guys think about society at large, the influence of pop culture? How has that influenced you? And if we could, we're just going to go start on this end and work our way around the panel the other direction.
I wouldn't say I necessarily feel any jealousy or anything like that towards celebrities. Most of the time I feel bad for them. Like, take Britney Spears, for instance. I'm so glad I'm not constantly in the spotlight and things like that.
That's a great perspective. What are you thinking about pop culture?
Well, it's hard to explain because I would love to be in that limelight and it seems like they always happy, but which is behind the closed doors, really not. But pop culture it is what it is. It's how you live and how you go on by every day. But I wouldn't be depressed if I was pretty much in like that. Because, you know, we've been in this spot depressed under the limelight my whole life. And if I wasn't getting put in front of the light, I probably wouldn't be more depressed. I'd probably be happy.
All right, let me challenge you guys to do something before we continue. Just Google celebrities and depression. If you put that in quotes, celebrities and depression, and see what you come out with, and you'll find out, and occasionally you'll see news stories, they're going through depression too. There's some big names and some big stories. It's just another observation that I noticed, but I hear what you're saying.
We've been living, you know, in a normal life. If I was to get that life, and I've seen all the difference in mistakes they done made, I'm pretty much to try to do the opposite.
Okay, right, all right.
I think, you know, you want to switch places with people who are famous or, you know, who are great musicians, but then you'll watch their true story and realize that they struggle just as much as we do and have dealt with depression, anxiety. I forgot what I was saying.
Drawing a blank. But I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. That's a a good opinion.
Well, I think pop culture and all these reality TV shows and everything, the influence it has on me and probably a lot of other females, it makes me very self-conscious of how I look. Like, I want weave down my back. I want to look a certain way, because you see it and it's so glamorized. It's like, well, I'm just a normal person, but I don't want to look bland. I want to look decent, but at the same time, I see that and I want it, and that's the influence it has on me. Like, when I see certain shows and stuff, I'm like, I want that life. And I don't know what they deal with behind the scenes, but when I see that, it looks real. And, even though I know it's not real, it looks real and I like it. And that's the influence it has on me. It makes me want to look a certain way, and I'll be myself, but I like what I like, and that's the influence it has on me.
Interesting. Okay. Pop culture.
Yeah, I think it does have a strong influence, but it also reflects what your own approach to it is. Because, you can watch things on TV and do it just for, to relax your mind, get just a complete distraction. But, like it's been brought up with the teen idols and pop culture, it stands so much as a definition of how we should live our own lives. And we can't address it as, no, this is my life, this is what's been dictated for me to be. And it's hard to get that mindset that when we're looking at the different pictures, a lot of them are edited, and we get the pictures of fame and glory, and when you look at the real story, they're real people, just their dirty laundry has been displayed for everybody to see, and it's hard for us to realize that because we think we're the only ones struggling with this. Even the right song can just trigger this whole, I didn't know I was supposed to think that way, but they think I should be thinking this way in this situation, so what's wrong with me? Why don't I agree?
Wow, interesting. All right, pop culture and how it affects us.
Well, last night I was actually watching the sing-off, and Ben Folds said something really interesting. I was like, whoa, And he said, you got to this place somehow, but whenever you got to this place and like getting famous and all that stuff, you end up getting like in, having to stay at, really bad hotels and stuff, and, just like, that you probably think, there might be rodents and stuff like that. And then even whenever you get famous, you still find yourself in those, flea bag hotels, still going, why am I not, living the life? And, people are trying to, or at least for me, I'm kind of selfish a lot, and I feel like a lot of celebrities are very selfish about that. They want to get what they want, and they're going to do anything they can get to it. But they still end up, or at least I still end up, showing up at the same exact place and going, I never got what I wanted. So.
Wow. Pop culture.
Well, like, for me, like, when I was at work the other day, somebody told me I look like a certain celebrity. And I thought about it for a second. I couldn't remember who it was. And I was like, what if she's ugly? And I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, oh, no. And so, like, for me, just, like, that whole, like, compare yourself to people thing again. Like that's what it is for me. Like, everybody's always comparing themselves to celebrities and stuff. And luckily, she was okay looking. I went home and I looked. And that was okay. But
Good, I'm glad for you.
Yeah. But just, like, that whole, I don't know, just comparing yourself to others and celebrities who look all glamorous and polished and everything.
Right. Interesting.
I think for me, it depends on how you look at it. There is some things where you compare yourself and you see somebody that's a size 0 and you want to be that size because you think that's the end thing. And then you have to sit back and remember that we're all made different for a reason. But it can also be looking at that and wanting different options for yourself and seeing that, okay, well, this celebrity has this, but you don't know the road they took to get there. And finding that out is going to be motivation for me and for my future, because I want to be the best at it, and I've had a hard road as well.
Right. Does the audience have a comment before we go on? Anyone? Sure. Step forward.
I think media can definitely have a negative influence on people, and also going back to what some of the panel was saying, we never know what goes on behind closed doors, because I just read something about Owen Wilson. He's a comedic actor, and he's one of the last people you would think would deal with something like this, but he just survived a suicide attempt. And so, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember that story. Let's jump a question because while we're talking about celebrities and pop culture, what about us as individuals living that double life, where in one life we have something that we're showing people in public, and then the struggles, things that we face in private? Are we living a double life? What's your comment about that? And how do we maybe address that? How do we support one another in that? Because I can't see what you're going through. For me, I see myself from the inside out. So anything I'm struggling with, you may not see because you see me from the outside in. Does that make sense? So something going on in my heart might be completely different than you seeing a smile on my face that I know to put there when I'm in front of people. Does that make sense? So what is your guys' take on the double life and how can we support one another in that? We'll start on this end.
I'm not sure. Exactly.
Do you think people live a double life?
Probably. I would say when I first moved to Chattanooga, I was really upset. Like, I was really depressed, and it was hard for me. But when I went out in public, I wasn't like I was at home, if that makes sense. Right. But I'm not really sure what I could say for others what to do in that situation.
Do you feel like people see you differently than you see yourself?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. What do you think about the double life?
The double life. Well, I can say, I probably done lived a double life. I come in and smile, this, that, and the other, but as soon as I walk behind the door, I'm like, oh, Lord, thank you. I finally get a break. I ain't got to smile all day. I can think about all my problems, this, that, and the other. That's more like my double life, smiling right here, and as soon as I walk out, my head back down to the ground. So
that is exactly the way I am because I live alone. I have a house here in East Chattanooga, and that's exactly what I do. When I get home, that's my chance to pour over all the issues from the day and stress out about them and become anxious or whatever, or actually deal with them, and occasionally pick up the phone and actually call somebody and talk it out. What about you? Do you think people see you the way you see yourself?
No, I definitely don't. I deal with a lot of weight issues. It's never really been a major problem for me, but in high school I would always just be happy, and everybody thought I was funny, was voted class clown. But then when I get home, it's a different struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's just food's always been a problem for me. I don't know about other people, but it's something that you just have to work through yourself and get through.
The double life, yeah, because out in public, depending where I am, I could be at church and I'm sweet little Robin, and when I'm at home, it could be anything, because I'm in my comfort zone. I can really, really be my true self because nobody can see me. But when I'm out, I have to have a certain presence. I have to smile. I don't want to look. Nobody's gonna come out and be depressed or have an ugly attitude. You always want to be at your best. So I definitely believe, that a lot of people live a double life, but that's just human nature, I believe. And yeah, what was the other part of the question?
And we want to get into how can we support one another in this? Since I can't see what you're dealing with, what's the answer?
I just think I try to be honest, and I try to relate to other people, or I try to let people know that I deal with the same thing. We both human or whatever, no matter what the situation is. Just let them know, yeah, I go through that too. People, like you go in the house and they'll say, well, excuse my house for being dirty. Well, look, my house be a mess too. Nobody's perfect, whatever. So I just try to be real about it and let them know we're both human. It's nothing.
Okay, the double life.
Yeah. I actually think it's a little deeper than a double life. I see every individual as being three different people. There's the person that they think they are, the person other people see them as, and then the person they truly are. And so that kind of does play a lot into just your day-to-day life. You think that you're one way and everybody else sees you as that, but you could be completely wrong because, as we've been saying, face to face, we're going to be polite. We're going to do what's courteous. We're going to try to appear like nothing's wrong in our lives, but then there's always this internal struggle. And then the individual level of there's parts of yourself that even you're not aware of. Other people might see it, they might not, but there's always that subconscious thing going on. And best ways to deal with that is if there's something wrong, yeah, definitely take a look within yourself, and also seek outside guidance with that, because the people that I respect most are also the most transparent people that I know. They're able to actually say, I know I struggle with this, I'm working on it, and could you help me work with it?
Okay, so the triple life I got from that. All right.